Start. This is the first block of SPA session. We have the first paper in the session that we presented online, and I ask to answer right to. Can you hear me? It's okay with connection.
Hello.
Okay. I think that you can share your screen and we can start the presentation. Good.
Non riesce a parlare.
Okay, we can see the presentation. You can.
Okay, perfect. Good morning, everyone. So, good morning, everyone. I don't know if it's clear enough.
Yes, it's clear.
Perfect, thank you. So, good morning, everyone. Today, my name is Ansu Lamy from Sapienza University of Rome, and today I'm going to present the role of economic evaluation for an effective management of cultural heritage. And our case study is it's the case study of a historical building in Arezzo, in Italy. So, of course, starting with the table of contents, we are going to start with an introduction, then the presentation of the case study. After that, we will talk about the project characteristics, and we move on to analyze the market trends, and after that, with the definition of the DCFA, the development of it, and we will finish with a conclusion. So, as we all know, historical buildings, towns, and villages are essential to cultural identity, but unfortunately, many in Italy are unused and deteriorating, harming local communities. And restoring these sites requires public private cooperation and a solid financial model to assess project feasibility and enhance quality of life. Okay, we are going to start with the site analysis. And as we said, our case study is a historical building located in Arezzo, in Tuscany. And Arezzo is located in the southeastern Tuscany. It is easily accessible through various modes of transportation, making it a convenient destination. So, talking about the economic framework, Tuscany's economy, we can say that it is a diverse economy and robust, heavily influenced by tourism, manufacturing, and agriculture. The region attracts over 11.5 million visitors annually, significantly contributing to its GDP, which accounts for about 6.7% of Italy's total. So, the city center is a blend of ancient charm and modern amenities, making it both a cultural hub.
Can you hear us? Okay, now it works. It
Ah.
was a problem of connection. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I was saying that the city center is a blend of ancient charm and modern amenities, making it both a cultural hub and a lively urban space. So the property is located about 1 kilometer from the historic center in a semi-central area, primarily residential, well connected by foot and public transport. As we move forward with our analysis, it is important to gain a comprehensive understanding of both the context and the property itself. One of the most effective tools for this is the SWOT analysis, which stands for strengths. As we can see, the main strengths are the central location, the weaknesses, which is the high living costs and the critical infrastructure, the opportunities as the strong tourism, and the threats are the risk of earthquake. So as we can see that the central area of Arezzo offers a wide range of facilities, which makes it attract a diverse mix of tenants, including students, young professionals, and international workers, thanks to its significance, job opportunities, and nearby educational institutions. Moving on to the site characteristics, we can say that this area features a medieval urban layout that has remained largely unchanged, characterized by two three-floors buildings primarily serving the commercial functions on the ground floor and the residential in the upper floor. So we can say that our property was owned. This property was owned. It is a known property of the fifth and sixth century palace, featuring a neo-mannerism style with two order facade, as we can see on the photo, including a notched portal and balcony. Its facade is decorated with expertly crafted graffiti inspired by Leon Battista Alberti's Palazzo Chalet. And we can say that our building was originally a private residence of the Concini family. The property was later owned and renovated by the noble Conti Barbolani family from 1796 to 1798, and in 1882 it was sold to the Fraternità dei Laici, who used it as a library and museum until 1935. Now it is owned by the investment funds for valorization, the FIF fund. Moving forward to the SWOT analysis of the property, and we can say that the main strengths are always the central location. The weaknesses are the poor state, mainly the poor state of conservation, so the need for restoration, and the opportunities. There is a big potential to trigger a requalification process that respects the historical context. The threats, the restriction due to heritage status. So moving on to project characteristics, and starting from the current state, the conservation state. So as we can see on the photo, the historical Palazzo Concini Barbolani, which once functioned as a multi-level public office space featuring a variety of rooms, bathrooms, storage areas, and amenities across its full floor, now stands vacant. Moving to the enhancement project, we can say that the project proposes to restore and modernize the property, introducing new functions to preserve the building while enhancing its social and cultural role in the community. And as we can see on the photos, this is the projected program for the project. And you can say that there are a lot of functions such as student housing units, conference rooms, restaurant, okay, offices, co-working spaces, commercial shops, gym club, and parking cars. And here we calculated obviously the total area with the total cost of investment. So moving to the analysis of the market trend, and of course a comprehensive market analysis was conducted comparing similar properties terms of location, size, condition, and functions. Starting with the definition of the trade area, which is an homogeneous area, a geographical region where the factors influencing the price formation are manifested in a uniform manner, and this area includes the events that affect rental prices for all properties within its boundaries. Of course, there are to determine appropriate rental values of comparables, we consider various factors influencing property value, which can be grouped into two main categories, such as the first category are the extrinsic factors that define characteristics of the trade area itself, and there are also the intrinsic factors that are factors that characterize the property, include the aspects such as property type, size, interior design, and exterior appearance. And as we can say, these are examples of extrinsic factors and as well the extrinsic factors. Okay, the market comparison approach determines a property rental value by analyzing similar recently rented or available properties in the same market. It involves selecting comparables that match the subject property in size, location, condition, amenities to provide accurate rental value insights. Here we divided it into three main categories. There are the residential comparables, and of course we end up by determining the mean value per month per square meter. And we did the same for offices, co-working spaces in the same category. And here we choose four comparables for each category. And of course, the same thing with the market analysis of restaurants and commercial shop spaces. We chose four comparables and we define the mean value per square meter per month. So the rental price is set as €9.07 per square meter per month for the entire property, covering both private, commercial, and residential variable costs and public fixed costs. Additional expenses such as financial charges, which is equal to 6.5%, professional fees 9%, and overheads 3%, are added to the total construction costs to calculate the overall investment cost, dividing this adjusted investment cost by the total area of 2,859 square meters, result in an investment cost of 8,056.68 per square meter, euro per square meter. Okay, moving on to the management costs of investor of private functions. The property owner's costs include several key expenses categories to ensure accurate financial planning. These expenses are calculated on a semester basis to provide projections of the property's financial performance, covering both routine management and unexpected costs. This comprehensive cost structure helps in the budgeting and maintaining the profitability over time. Okay. So here we calculated the capex costs, which are calculated per square meter per euro, and which represent the total investment including construction and additional fees. And these costs are essential for financial analysis like payback period calculation and evaluating the project viability and profitability, aiding stakeholders in making informed resource allocation decisions. So moving on to the definition of the DCFA, which is discounted flow analysis. And so we can say that the DCFA is a model used to assess the investment's feasibility. It is a valuation method that estimates the value of an investment using its expected future cash flow. The DCF analysis attempts to figure out the value of an investment today based on projections of how much money it will generate in the future. So moving on to the payback period, also called recovery period, which is the time required for an investment to generate enough cash flow to recover its initial cost. So moving on to the development of the CFA, and and yeah, we can say that the discount rate, which considers the entrepreneur's risk, is a monthly rental value divided by the market value, to which the inflation is equal to 2% was added. So the discount rate is equal to 7.20% per year. So, of course, we determined as well the net present value, which is a financial metric used to evaluate the profitability of an investment by calculating the present value of its future cash flow, both incoming and outgoing. We also consider the revenues of the investor, which are equal to the rental incomes minus the vacancy fees. And here, of course, we calculated the total revenues per euro. So at the end, we obtained this graph, which is the discount cash flow analysis that shows that the project becomes profitable after 24 years with an expected 313 million euros in additional profit over a 30-year concession. This supports public-private negotiations, indicating viable public investment and manageable costs for investors. The payback period shows the total addition profit of 3,947.56 euro, starting in the year 24, highlighting potential public investment and manageable costs for investors. So, to conclude, we can say that this case study demonstrates the importance of economic evaluation in managing and enhancing cultural heritage assets. By applying rigorous financial model, it is possible to balance preservation with new uses, ensuring both cultural and economic sustainability for historical properties like the one in Arezzo. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you all. Any question here? I have just a curiosity. You mentioned your place analysis in order to consider to identify the rental cost rate comparing this building to similar facilities that you recognize as well. But did you also consider the demand for the specific usage typology that you imagine, like rooms for students or restaurants and the other specific typology that you included in your project? The demand for not only the price, the medium price, the local price, but the demand for this kind of services.
Yes. So I actually, for this, I consider the fact that this region is known for its high living costs. So since there are a lot of educational institutions, and so there is the demand or the need that the students, obviously, they are struggling to find accommodation, low cost accommodation. So for this, I considered this factor to obviously think about creating or designing accommodation low cost for students. I don't know if that was your question.
Okay, okay. Yes, okay, thank you. I think that we can move on to the next presentation. You can stop sharing screen, odds, and we move for the next papers. Now I will present, and I have um, three contributions today in this session that comes from the works that we managed with a studio lab at architectural classes in University of Basilicata, and we used to give evidence to the results of those labs through the presentation in the conference and the publication, because for us are some good results expressing how we try to reach two teaching objectives. The first is connected with the experimentation of an analytical model, spatial physics model that regards tourist analysis at a local level. It could be urban level, regional level. It depends on the case study, and it's a methodology that we are trying to formalize and testing in many cases. And on the other side, we share with the students the issue of downscaling the principle of new urban agenda. New urban agenda is issued by the United Nations UN Habitat, and it is a driving reference in order to put in practice sustainability for urban development. This document includes general principles, remarkable issues that could influence any kind of urban and regional transformation, but the process of downscaling, so the adaptation of those general principles on specific case studies, is something problematic that students should learn how to implement and should be driven in an exercise, like academic exercise, in order to learn and in order to take advantages from this exercise. During the last academic year, we asked them to investigate not a well-known area. We are in Basilicata, and we work in Basilicata, but we asked students to analyze other potential tourism destinations in order to describe local characteristics, analyze the local trends in tourism phenomena, and also trying to have a final design that represents a solution in order to stress the sustainability in the process of tourism development. The research is the background of the research is focused on the definition of sustainable tourism ecosystem. Today, the tourism phenomena represents a relevant issue both for public debate and academic research, because the public debate could be referred to some recent events. For instance, if you think to Venice and the marriage of Jeff Bezos and so on, it was something that is connected with tourism in a major tourism destination, and something that generates also some local opposition, because residents and other tourist categories was against this privatization of Venice for this event. So it is the public debate. Also, if you think on over tourism debate regarding, for instance, Barcelona and other major destinations that suffers a not balanced presence of tourism in the cities and in the region. So, various taxes for tourism is a representation of this debate and so on. Of course, it is a fragmented approach, is something that appears not connected with the capacity of local administration to measure the phenomena and to manage it properly. In fact, if you put the question which is the tourism capacity of a place, it's very difficult to answer, because you may apply different approaches in order to get a result that should go in the direction to organize a territorial sustainable process for the exploitation of cultural, natural, and other values through a tourism approach. So we have a, um, a model, a theoretical model that is based on the definition of a destination area. A destination area, in our view, is a place. So it is a spatial explicit definition of a destination area, including identified through uh, three kinds of local facilities. First of all, the attractors. Tourist phenomena depends on the presence of attractors. The attractor is a cultural uh, place, for instance, or a natural place, a natural value, or other, for instance, could be connected with seasonal tourism like beach tourism or other issues, religious tourism, and so on. We have many kinds of infrastructure, but it is the basic element that generates a tourism flow. So the demand for travel depends on the presence of attractor in a specific place. Then tourism needs a chain of tourist facilities, so services, especially accommodation and restaurants are the main points is needed in order to organize a trip, in order to organize a travel and a stay in a specific area. And finally, the other category regards the reachability. We don't put accessibility, we put reachability. It means to express how people can reach the specific destination. The combination of those services assessed through a spatial function, it will be very complicated or very simple, it depends on the case study, is the starting point in order to identify tourism as a territorial uh, factor, as a territorial dimension. No? Generally, tourism analysis regards disciplines of economic studies and other disciplines that measure tourism in terms of number of employees, the contribution to local GDP, so aggregated values um, that that are not directly connected with the spatial representation. From our point of view, this is a weakness in understanding the territorial dimension of tourism. So our approach goes in that direction. So I have three case studies. The first regards an area in Belgium. Wallonia is a nice and beautiful place, of course, characterized by natural values, the river, forests, and other sites. The students choose autonomously this place, and here are some data about this specific area. You can see the tourism flows in the area, medium value of tourism presence, and this is the total number of Belgium, and this is our case study area. As you can see, it is not a major destination. No, it contributes to the national tourism flow, of course, but it is mainly oriented to regional tourism, so not foreign tourism or something like that. And what is also peculiar of this area is that if you see the crisis of COVID event in 2019, 2020, the presence in the region was quite stable, not because it's a local tourism destination, and so it doesn't suffer too much the crisis of COVID. Um, this is the area that the students choose a specific part of this territory. There is a main destination in the northern part, then there is the river, which is the line that, and the natural element that connects all the region. All around there are forests, and there are some specific and characterizing feature inside this area. For instance, this is the place where Leffe beer is produced, and there is a museum with connected with beer production, and there are many other facilities. From the analysis, students extracted from Google and OpenStreetMaps the list of points of interest, so attractors, services, and reachability facilities. They identified through a cluster analysis three destination areas in this area: the first, the second, the third destination area, and they compared the three clusters in terms of the number of attractor services and reachability in order to understand if there are some unbalance, if there are some missing facilities that could be the topic of the design, no, that could generate some weaknesses in the area. Generally speaking, uh, the critical part of the work marks the lack of accessibility and the lack of alternative mobility option alternative to the car movement. So they mainly drive their analysis in order to understand how active mobility could be a driver to reconnect this area and to add additional option for tourism exploitation. So they refer the design to some principle of new urban produce a project that it is a strategic approach that operates in terms to reconnect the whole system through a walk path along the river, integrating some specific facilities along these streets in order to allow the promotion, the attraction of different targets of tourism. Um, we have 16 types of intervention distributed in 8 areas, and the main issue is to complete the cycling path that is partially present in the area, connecting the whole river side. Another approach. We are in Croatia, and in particular in Istria. I have a picture. This area is characterized by a major destination, which is Pula. Pula is a very beautiful place integrating the ancient Roman patrimony with seaside and the characterizing factors of Croatia. And in this case, the issue was uh, to to redistribute the capacity of Pula of attracting tourism, mass tourism in this area, with the other territorial destinations, which are, of course are minor destinations, in order to have a result in terms of sustainability of the tourism flow, because you redistribute the tourism and you don't concentrate in the Pula region. And of course, we have also additional uh, impact in terms of profitability of other regions that surrounds the major destination. In this case, the process is the same. That they took some information about tourism flow, the number of arrivals, the identify, how tourism is distributed in this area. They catch the points that represent the three categories: attractors, services, and the reachability, and they system that works together. In this case, we have 6 cluster, and we have three strong clusters because those destinations counts a, a number of services and facilities that is stronger than in the other three systems. So there is this equilibrium, three strong clusters against three weak clusters. In this case, so the design goes in the direction of rebalance this distribution. This is the design they choose to exploit a cycling routes uh, connecting some minor territorial structures and trying also to redistribute the flow from the coastal line towards the inland area, which is a typical strategy in order to better exploitation of local resources. Along this path, there are some markers, some points where some facilities has to be realized, and they also try to understand the impact of these proposals on tourism flows. This is before and after the investment, according with some simulation that took into consideration the effect of similar projects already realized in other areas. Then the third regards Dubrovnik. Dubrovnik too is a major destination. It attracts lots of tourism flows. In this case, if we look at data, the problem of seasonality is the remarkable issue. Against the seasonality is also the concentration of tourism in an urban area characterized by cultural beauty, of course, uh, and a local patrimony that suffer tourism pressure because generally cultural patrimony, when you have over tourism, is under pressure, no, under not sustainable exploitation. But the numbers are very high. In Croatia, we have 25 million of tourists. In Dubrovnik, 1 million and six. So it is relevant for the country and it is relevant for local economy. Again, the same procedure. Here the scale is, even if it is a regional scale in any case, but we work at a smaller one. This is Dubrovnik, the city, and they identify attractors, services, and reachability points through a desk-based approach. So they were not there. So through a procedure, they took those information from the web, they perform a cluster analysis, and this cluster identifies Dubrovnik city as the main part, and the other areas that surround the urban center and offer some specific facilities for the tourists. The design option in this case was to reconnect the urban main area with this backyard channel. It is a river, of course, that that is not very infrastructured because of some morphological features. There is a hill here, so the infrastructure is not well distributed. There is a path that could be a workable path that could connect the two areas. There are some facilities concerning the historical manufacture, a castle in particular that could be renovated and could offer a specific characterizing point of interest in this area. And there are also the option to regenerate traditional houses, not used houses, in order also to have a process of urban regeneration through this part of the city. And in particular, the waterfront against this channel offers good opportunities for innovation and also for providing some specific activities for tourism presence connected with the water and specific activities that could be performed on the water. Okay. Some general the students also put some renders in order to understand the, the specific idea that they put in practice, the renovation of the pathway, the castle to be reused, the, the local accommodation for tourism, reusing existing houses and the water front on the river. I, what I want to point out is that apart the the value of each specific design, we trying to demonstrate how a simple approach in describing spatially a very complex phenomena, which is tourism, could be adopted through desk-based applications, so retrieving information from the web, applying some easy spatial analysis techniques, in this case clustering, so something which stay in the capacity even of students, to apply in a specific way. And for us, it's interesting because we finally get many case studies that allow us to understand if this methodology that we structured in terms of tourism destination area analysis is, could be intended as a robust approach applied in different places with different characteristics.
I want to add this one thing. For example, in 2020, the ministry wants 20 million per each region, 20 million per each for one town per each region. This measure was mainly based on the proposal to decongestionate the mass tourism destination, so trying to invest in less known areas in order to give more highlights to less known destination and the pressure like destinations such as Rome, Venice, and Florence. This comes, but you can imagine, okay, that one little town, that in this case in Basilicata region is Montichiobani, that are like 2,000 people, receive 20 million. A little town receives 20 million, and I think it's, of course, what happened in this case. That all the strategies, the intervention related are mainly based focused on the construction of main attractors, main infrastructure, but at the end there is a lack of system and lack of analysis that integrate maybe a large scale and a small scale analysis into the tourism system that could be more effective in this case to spend 20 million and to entire intervention. And could be this maybe a open window just to see that maybe a systematic way is more you know give more chance the possibility to see options.
The option to have a better expenditure, better public expenditure, and more effective results from this policy. And finally, we connected with the NUA principle, this exercise, which is something valuable because we are on the track of downscaling those principles in local application. Okay, that's the okay. Sì. We have the final presentation. Yes, question, please. Yes, of course, we are here.
Yeah, I would like to ask a question. So it was quite clear how the analytical phase was structured, the factors, the discipline, the station size, and so on and so forth. And that is presented three different strategies to projects. analytical phase with the design phase. I mean, is there any kind of guided structure that you perhaps tailor to the different case studies, or always the same? I don't know, but any framework that leads from the analysis to the
Yes.
design, or is it something that is kind of
Yes, yes,
left
yes.
to the designer?
We give them a framework, of course. I spend no words for describing it, but they have a framework that are based on some analytical steps. The first one is the description of the area, so they are very far from the area. They are uh, not aware, no, they don't know the place, no, so they select a place and they found general information in order to describe the place. Then they take the information about tourism flow, statistical data. Yes, that's the analysis. After that, they recognize the point of interest and they clustered the point of interest. The analytical approach here generates some common vision of different case studies. Why? Because the analysis of the comparison among those clusters highlights the weaknesses and the problems that could be identified also in a semi-quantitative way because they have some numbers that discuss the differences, the gaps between different areas. On the basis of the gaps, they start the design approach, and in that case, they are quite free to select typologies or solutions that are also in their background. So, in fact, from my point of view, the value of this approach stays in the process more than in the final results of the design. And so each group of students put more emphasis on the connection, on redistributing facilities, services, regeneration, some patrimony, or even um, establish new form of tourism, new tourism typology that was not included before in order to achieve better results in terms of
For
presence and
example, for the tourism typology, there was at the beginning a table that they had to fill in, like a table where you have to classify the attractors and each attribute related to the attractor and the source is fundamental to recognize the tourism typology. So there was like a structure at the beginning, even in the selection of the attractor, which define it, local agency, national agency, and or for example, other attributes that are so linked together as form so the type of tourism. So there was some instruction for each step very targeted and strictly related. So
even if I reply to the
Yeah,
question.
it's just kind of a SWOT analysis
Yes.
in behind with attractors, with the strengths and the gaps,
And the
with
gap.
the weaknesses, and then we design a strategy based on that.
Yeah,
I think I got it.
that's
Okay, thank you.
basic. Okay.
Sorry, okay. What you say the table that you were describing is the inputs of the clustering that we use.
yes,
With one input because we have attractor services and reachability describe the endpoints. So we have a point pattern analysis at the end. The selection of attractors goes through this classification that has to be clearly identified
even the
in the
services,
lineage.
even the services, there are some services that are maybe common to all the typology. For example, the accommodation, the restaurants, the accommodation would be divided in Airbnb, B&B, hotel, and so
Yeah,
on.
but all this information are feeding the clustering.
Yes.
Yes, and
And
so
the clustering is just, can you use the clustering for the colleagues, like the colleague will say,
You-
like modifying the disposition of points, or most just I was
Not modifying
Thinking about another thing.
not modifying the points because you cannot modify the points, but to understand if in a specific area that goes beyond administrative boundaries and so statistical information, because generally you have data according to municipal boundaries, regional boundaries, and so on. So a further classification, you identify a territorial system that works together, and you can compare locally that territorial system with the other one, no? And you can understand that there is a strong one and a weak one. Why weak? Because you missed something. You missed yes. Yes, you compare the two classes, and the gaps comes from the comparison, for instance. So it is a not fully quantitative approach, but it's a way to have some measurement, some data, some numbers that also support the local qualitative analysis that generally is in the background of architectural students, for instance, no more than now.
But in this case, in this case, it's the methodology and the techniques that were applied were very, very simplified for students, of course, because you have to be, a little bit gentle with people that are 22. I mean, and so in this case, it's just to give an insight and a review, another technique, because they are, for example, students are just focused on, hi, this is the laboratory here, this is the place where you have to project a big hub, so let's go do it. So they are not keeping in mind, they doesn't keep in mind why you have to do this project here, what is the purpose, why here, not here. For example, the movie change something, which is the where is the strategic place suitable for this kind of intervention. So they didn't.
Sorry, but just, I think the missing gap is to ask them, the students, to reapply the same protocol with the modified version.
Sometimes, no, we did it. Because finally, when you add some facilities, some accommodations, some services, you increase the number of points. Yes, we did it. We did it, and it is a scenario analysis that is that fits very well in the definition.
Because we realized that we need attributes. I mean, just the count of the point is not really
a complete information. It's not a strong information.
Yes,
it's a basic
we evaluate
level.
for example, we evaluate the attractiveness or other kind of phenomena through this. The comparison just between points is just a preliminary exercise for them, just to realize where it's concentrated, for example, just these kind of phenomena related to weather-driven.
We have some other presentation that we apply advanced spatial technique for the investigation.
No, it's not next one.
No, it's not the next one.
No, it's the next one.
And for instance, another interesting thing is that those information comes from Google. Are free, probably not usable, I have to be honest, because there are some restrictions, but we use it anymore. Are free, are full of attributes, because you can take the rating of an hotel, the number of rating of comment and so on, which means also the satisfaction of the tourist, and there are some useful
Depends on the country, because I try to use those data and
yes, but against the fact that the tourism is described like that, with a graph of arrival and staying, and nothing else, because you have not additional data. We are exploring some not conventional, we made not certified data source, new data source that today can inform really the decision of the policymakers, but also the decision of the investors that want to put money in the tourism facilities, but also the decision of the tourists that could compare where to stay and where to live. Finally, the idea is that we will have next year probably a platform oriented to those targets and showing some specific analysis according to general question that those targets could put in the system. That's the idea. Ok. Allora, sì, ma perché non funziona?
Ma non funzionava niente.
Sì. E questo qui? No, no. No, will present a paper that he contributed to realize that is not his real
No, it's not my
investigation. But it is
It's not
interesting
working?
because it's a recognition of some specific landmarks, no, in Basilicata region that are suitable also
Maybe I
for
just try.
exploitation.
Oh my god. Okay. Okay, so sorry about that. I'm technical assistant in another room, and there are a lot of issues and trouble with the computer, so I just come at the end. As Professor say, I just presented this work. Um, this done by Raffaele Pontrandolfi and Professor Antonio Bixio. The name is Sustainable Rural Landscape of the late 20th century in the Basilicata region. In this work, we want to analyze uh, how the implementation of GIS and a 3D beam, so HD beam, can be useful to renovate or reuse some rural settlements that is related to the land reform in Italy, especially in the south part of Italy. First of all, I want just to introduce the strategic plan for inner areas. In Italy, we know that there is a strategic. This is the strategy um, to strengthen the local development and to reverse the current marginalized demographic and social economic trends. There are also in the inner areas in Italy, but also in Europe, because we know that the inner areas are really important because like 50% of all the people in European region just live in inner areas. And the main goal is also to ensure ongoing support for to the integration of national and European sources in this area. So the strategic plan identified different area in the two program phases, and we can say that all the area is on the Apennine and in Sicily and on the Alps and on the Alps. And this imagine just to simplify the functional and symbolic transition that this settlement encounter during the year. So there are often in shifting in the meaning and the functional depending on their continued reuse and abandonment of this settlement in Basilicata. This is just to simplify the reform, the land reform of rural landscape in Italy. This is start after the World War II, and to connect with the NCA, we can say that this area can be a challenges due to the widespread abandonment and degradation of the rural built heritage, but also an opportunity to reuse this settlement, or for example, to strengthen the community and this abandoned area. And this is the main intervention in the Apulia, Basilicata, and Molise. This is more than 60 new centers, 20 residential areas, 30 service centers with several mixed typologies. For the residential village, we just have the residents, but for that had to be used by the people that want to live in these residential villages. And then we have also some mixed type of hamlets. So we have services like church, like school, like infrastructure and so on, um, but also residents. And after the reform in this area, we have more than 20,000 farm buildings scattering all around this area. This is the master plan of intervention proposed by Mazzocchi, Alemanni, and Calia in 1955. And you can see it's very well structured master plan. We just see all the infrastructure that they want to implement in this area to connect all these different villages, or the residential villages and the service villages. But
GIS.
huh?
Without
without GIS, just a map, yeah. And but one of the problem is most of this infrastructure is never sure, never see the light. So this is one of the main issue why all this settlement is abandoned during this 70 year, because there is very few infrastructure in this area. We in this work analyzed just three different settlements. Borgo Taccone, it's famous in Basilicata because there is just a rain station, and it's known just for the rain station, but not for the settlement, because the settlement is abandoned and is not viewed by the streets. They only see. Then we have Santa Maria d'Irsi and Borgo La Martella, that is near Matera. And this is one of the most used settlements. I will show you some images after. And this is just some some images, because the other authors are very interesting in the historical representation of the evolution of this area, and all the people that worked for the master plan and to implement this settlement. So we have Quaroni, Ionimo, Piccinato, De Carlo. This is a really important person that do a lot, or at least plan a lot for this area. But the land reform in Basilicata didn't succeed at all, unfortunately. I want to say. This is also some image to give you some idea of the settlement. This is Santa Maria d'Irsi, and the this is the how the house, the building is still today. Okay, this is the how they want to be, but this is just the building. So you can see that the people just abandon it at the start, because there is no infrastructure, there is no electricity, there is no water, there is anything in this settlement. This is also Santa Maria d'Irsi. This is the recent view of the country, and they say that some buildings is just used for some farmer just use it, and just a recovery for the machinery, or for just to get some grain inside, and so on. This is the church, and this is the plan of the land of the Borgo Taccone, as said before. But this is all abandoned. It's not used at all. Okay, this is the recent view, Borgo Taccone. And this is Borgo La Martella. Borgo La Martella is near Matera. Matera is UNESCO site in Basilicata. This is really near one of the main city in our region, in Basilicata region. So this settlement is used today, but we showed after that it's also transformed a lot with the initial plan. This is some other images to identify the current state and use of conservation of this building. And this is the multiscalar process approach that Raffaele Pontorantulfi proposed. It is an implementation of 2D GIS and 3D BIM. So there are different level of detail, the different plots. They want to use GIS to identify territorial information symbols. So especially for a master plan, for a planning purpose, but then have a 3D beam at macro scale, or micro scale. Micro scale is just for a scenario analysis on renovation of some buildings, but for macro scale is just to renovate all the neighborhoods. And this is the project that they proposed, and they said that it's useful to carry out thematic survey at various scale of investigation. So micro scale, at building scale, architectural scale, at neighboring scale, or at all the settlement scale. And this is some common ontological aspect on the integration between BIM and the GIS system, and they both based on concept of information, because we know that for BIM it's really different from CAD, because on BIM we have the information, each element has different information. We can have the material, the time, the construction, and so on. We have a lot of information on BIM, and both used on a geometrical semantic database, so we know that we can change some characteristic, and the model just uploaded in GIS or in the architectural form. The scale of investigation for sure is different, because BIM is really helpful for to model a single building and not all the neighborhood, because it's really expensive in terms of time and computational expensive. And there, let's say, okay, I think I can go on. This is Borgo La Martella, and you can see that this is the state of the art. So in red, there is the historical settlement. Okay, this is the historical settlement, and all this area is new buildings. So you can say that you can show that this area is it's used, and it's also implemented with other urban facilities like sport facilities, or there are a plaza, there are churches, and so on. But as shown before, there are very alteration in the original concept of of this uh, this settlement. So this is just a section to analyze which building just it's modified in its shape, and there is a lot of alteration and addition to this area, and this is the phase. So we see in this is the original settlement. Then there is a lot of new buildings near the original settlement. But then in the last year there are expansion on the left side. Okay, this is also I'd like to show you the integrated approach they propose. This is the with this implementation of GIS BIM, they can have a current situation survey and some archival documentation, because they're interested also in they have a lot of photo and historical document of this area. They want to storage in this model. Then they can do some processing data to acquire to adjust the environment in BIM, and then they can manage some statistical output to the municipality of Matera. They want to say, okay, we need another public spaces, we need a parking slot, and so on. And this is also an overview of the results of the models. This is also the difference in scale, the difference of level of detail between a lot B, C, or D. But I want to show you this one, because this is the difference in implementation. If you want to work at a macro scale, so we have just the mass, the mass of the building. At the micro scale, we want to increase some detail, but when we share, when we go to architectural scale, we have a single building unit. It's very well not compute, but it's very well represented into the. This is helpful because in this way we can do some scenario analysis and some proposal. They propose something on different area, one in the north area, one in the middle area, in the central area, and one in the southern. And with implementation of BIM, we can manage to have this representation that can be helpful to show to the municipality, show to the policymaker what is the potential reuse of this area, to give a new and to renovate a new chance to this building. So this is just some result. Um, with what we say to the implementation of GSET BIM, we can develop some cognitive analysis of a building in natural heritage. This is experimentation is a holistic implementation of database. It is really expensive, computational expensive to just model all the neighborhood in BIM, and the combination, but the combination of these two digital tools is is usable for existing state of art and some scenario analysis, and this is helpful for rehabilitation and regeneration of public spacing and existing building. So, okay, this is so. Thank you for your attention.
This image, I prefer one. This one.
This one.
Okay. Any comments? Do you recognize this lens? In Sardinia was not the case.
No, I was thinking if I know of any place like that, the idea why people talk to
Because it's on the
it's
yeah.
Yes.
and
Yeah.
that's fast food.
Sure.
I think that's fast on the legend.
ETFAS, yeah,
Yeah.
ETFAS.
Ah.
Ente Trasforma Agraria Sardinia, yeah.
But there are some settlements like that established.
In Castalia side, they know that it's different because it was like also an open air tourism.
Open air.
It's structures complex because they are really tiny. And the other ones, I think they are all places, some places area, like that was a Borea or something. So I cannot think of anything like that.
In any case, it is that approach that they did new down, brand new down,
Yeah.
because it was designed to complete with services. And for instance, on the coast, Politoro, some municipalities, not the Ionian
This,
coast,
yeah.
now are developed around this burning design, this new basic design. But it is a scenario that really represents the actual reality of the full rural area between Basilicata and Buga, which was living completely unused. And I give you also information that the Basilicata region recently, following the principle of reusing these also very nice settlements, abandoned and so on, thought to renovate to put them migrant. Something crazy. No, but if you think the typology of the building, the structure of the system and so on is very suitable, not to host a new community that comes there, not only houses but also facilities and the public space. It's crazy. So it's crazy. Of course, it's
If
crazy.
it worked in the last 20 years, why should it work now? I mean, if there's some structural system lapse.
Of course,
Yeah.
because the idea was
not
that
just a square and think that people
no,
will that.
of course, but because the idea was that people have to live in the field. Agriculture needs that people live there. Today is not this case, and that's why it's abandoned.
So my question was,
Yeah.
sorry, thank you for the presentation. The question is more about your tool that you developed. I mean, is it something that you developed?
No, I know that. Yeah.
So you are just using this tool for the scenario?
Yeah, you say these two. This
Yeah,
yeah, this is the entire system is they just say okay, we can use only 3D beam, but it's very expensive. It's very computational expensive. So at this level of detail, it can be used just for this, just for very small in a scenario. Yeah, okay, scenario implementation in very small area. And they say, okay, if we want to analyze all the neighborhood, we have to switch to this other level of detail. So it's not architectonic, but it's a macro urban scale. And this the load is really it's more low. Okay. And then if we want to analyze all the hamlets in the area in the Bradano Valley, we just switch to GIS. The implementation of GIS can be useful to analyze how this area is, the morphology of the area, if they need some.
Sorry, I thought it was a platform where all these elements, all these things
No.
were included.
No, it's not a problem.
Okay.
No, just to say which level of detail I have to use if I want to architectural renovation, if you want to analyze the macro urban scales of the neighborhood and the service. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Sorry, because it's not my, it's not really my just acting for something. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
We have no other contributions to the session, so we go close. Okay, thank you very much. Ah, we have sweets.
Sì.
Abbiamo tanti no.
Io sono vicino a
Ah, sì,
Trovate moltissimi punti ai lavori che stiamo facendo, sia sulla sua presentazione molto interessante sulla sua. E noi Bologna,
Bologna.
sì, noi siamo su perché
Io ho fatto contatto con l'archivio, ho fatto progetto con Napoli, con una persona,
sulle ricerche di
come si
Cristiano.
chiama Napoli, la convenzione?
Ecco l'Enea. La convenzione con l'Enea.
No, ce l'ho sulla punta della lingua, vabbè, mi verrà, poi anche in ratificato se ne è, quindi
Sì.
in Italia,
Sono vari, sono un po' sparsi. E dicevo, se non vi disturbo, io magari vi manderò un mail, perché stiamo facendo un progetto, io sono responsabile di un laboratorio finanziato dalla regione di Romagna. Ci occupiamo di efficientamento energetico, un po' 360 gradi, però io nasco sugli edifici. Sono laureata qualche anno fa, diciamo così, proprio lavorando sugli edifici. E stiamo facendo un progetto legato al turismo che è molto diverso dal vostro, però è complementare, perché si occupa di recuperare alcune zone da appunto in cui implementare il turismo, ma dando un occhio anche e soprattutto all'efficientamento energetico.
dell'esistenza,
Sì, e quindi efficientamento energetico, ma non solo legato all'edificio, legato anche a quelle che sono le infrastrutture. E in più abbiamo sviluppato un progetto che sta per finire adesso a dicembre, che si chiama Design con la Regione Calabria, nello specifico con la città di Cosenza, che è legato alla rigenerazione urbana. Quindi recupero e
Cosenza
riuso.
proprio il centro di Cosenza,
Città,
no?
la zona di
La parte-
Marpolise.
Sì, ma la gara conosce bene perché vabbè, sono stato pure io, c'è tutta la parte del centro che è tutta da riqualificare, no? È enorme, un patrimonio
è enorme ed è
grandissimo e
assolutamente
complicatissimo, tra l'altro.
è un territorio devastato. Scusate, prego. Ma se deve-
No, ma perché loro fanno pure assistenza tecnica alle aule, quindi
E quindi dicevo sì, nella zona di
bene,
Marpolise
sì,
abbiamo
sì,
fatto
sì.
addirittura un master plan e adesso il comune implementerà alcune soluzioni nella zona di San Vito.
Ti dico una cosa, per aggiungere elementi che poi magari sono utili a capire che via prendere. Abbiamo per esempio un progetto europeo di cooperazione, Madrion, che si chiama Thematic to Green, che in realtà è proprio una versione 2 di un progetto che è stato fatto già prima soltanto sul tema turismo. Adesso al turismo, agli operatori della filiera turistica è legata una forma di accompagnamento rispetto al tema dell'efficienza energetica, della sostenibilità, dell'adattamento al cambiamento climatico come aspetto che pure nella gestione del fenomeno turistico dovrebbe essere considerato anche nella tutela sia del turista che degli operatori, diciamo, del settore, e poi su questioni proprio prettamente energetiche, culturale. Quindi diciamo questo piccolo elemento di sperimentazione dove c'è l'Italia, però non è niente di nuovo.
Sì, perché l'Adrian prende
Sì,
tutta la
abbiamo
zona
tutti i
adriatica.
partner,
Scusate, noi siamo tecnici della CIS, quindi
Sì.
ce lo spiegava, sono CIS, cioè sono ricordi
e
tecnici.
loro sono due dottorandi che invece lavorano su questo progetto sul turismo, di cui più o meno abbiamo detto delle cose, però questa è la versione, come dire, d'aula, ma ci sarà pure una presentazione specifica su tecniche molto più avanzate proprio sull'analisi delle informazioni. Finanziato dal PNRR, quei progetti degli ecosistemi dell'innovazione, rimane con tante risorse,
E anche non
stiamo
solo
lavorando.
partecipando solo per Emilia
E adesso
Romagna.
come elemento in più, che adesso non è mostrato però perché è in corso, abbiamo preso i dati delle sedi telefoniche per valutare
La presenza.
reale, con territori con una granularità interessante, molto costosi ma con
Sì,
un
sì.
potenziale.
Abbiamo fatto un'area industriale, quando siamo
Perché è come se adesso noi descriviamo l'offerta, no? Con i punti di interesse, i ristoranti, le cose, l'infrastruttura dell'accoglienza, no? Cose del genere. Però la domanda come la mappi, se quando guardi le presenze della lista, no, è un'altra cosa, cioè è un'altra cosa, no? Proprio per comprendere la dimensione
Deve avere i dati informativi, ma dai gestori telefonici.
Sì, sì, loro li aggregano per pacchetti di utenti, facciamo una griglia che può arrivare a 100 metri per 100 metri in alcune aree urbane, nell'area rurale no, però è quella a bilanciare l'informazione su scala diretta.
Perché a volte tipo il dettaglio del fenomeno non corrisponde alle unità statistiche. Perché per esempio il centro di Firenze, il centro storico di Firenze, che appunto l'unità statistica invece è molto più grande a volte, si spopola al pari di un'area interna, eppure
Perché la gentrificazione turistica preferisce altri usi di quella patrimonio immobiliare rispetto a
quindi c'è una perdita di residenza in trend la variazione è uguale a un'area interna e qui stiamo parlando di Firenze, non sono diversi, ma però questo lo riesce a rilevare sono con una granularità molto spinta.
confrontate con la lettura del fenomeno quasi in tempo reale, c'è dati giornalieri,
Infatti ho sfruttato anche dei dati di Enel, sulle dati di Enel, però
importantissimi.
sono diventati matti per avere dati, perché loro hanno delle regole molto stringenti sul discorso della privacy, soprattutto nelle industriali, perché conoscere il consumo ti può far capire il processo, e anche il processo.
Sì, il processo che si sviluppano temporaneamente.
Comunque questi dati che sembrano provenire da, come dire, da finalità diverse, quando si integrano magari rispondono a domande che possono.
Assolutamente, infatti noi abbiamo un po' anche giocato col GIS, abbiamo adesso attenzione e che ci ha aiutato un po'.
Vediamo la questa sinergia, perché questo approccio che
Grazie,
proponiamo
gentilissima.
può essere veramente, cioè, una prima lettura di un inquadramento territoriale, quindi la scala del manufatto dell'edificio con quella finalità è una come BIM, diciamo, no? È quel livello. Però comprendere la dimensione delle cose, anche dimensionare l'offerta, perché
Anche
quanti
quello.
edifici, quanti posti letto,
Con quali costi?
con quale prospettiva. Se investo sui posti letto mi sto dimenticando di investire sulla promozione territoriale, mi sto dimenticando di fare ricercativi di raggiungibilità territoriale, oppure il successo di un investimento che ha una finalità anche di recupero energetico di patrimonio non usato, eccetera, no? A fini turistici dovrebbe portarsi dietro anche altre azioni, magari soft, no? Che non sono.
Adesso c'è stata un'azione, si chiama ICCSA, era un progetto per le imprese di promozione turistica dove c'era un contributo a fondo perduto del 60%.
Cioè, quindi l'integrazione di queste componenti che poi fanno il progetto territoriale hanno fatto, no? Allora,
Potrebbe essere anche il discorso del riuso degli edifici con i modelli di edifici.
Noi abbiamo lavorato moltissimo sull'life science, anche con
Per riqualificare gli edifici sia dal punto di vista energetico ma anche dal punto di vista strutturale e quindi con integrazione anche degli impianti all'interno di questi pannelli.
Sto cercando anche di mantenere l'utenza all'interno, per esempio la Cosenza, zona di San Vito, tutta una zona di case popolari, per cui i costi sostenuti per spostarli.
non rendono fattibile.
Invece se tu riesci ad attivare un tipo di sono invito a Cosenza, in quartiere. Sì, io ho lavorato in progetto. Ah, bene, noi abbiamo fatto un lavoro di rigenerazione urbana.
urbana, un progetto che si chiama Design insieme al comune.
Ah,
Sì,
comune.
al comune. Sì.
Infatti io lavoravo per l'architetto che era condotto nel progetto che era nella giunta comunale.
Ah, perfetto. Addirittura. Sempre. E abbiamo fatto una cosa molto interessante, è stato fatto un master plan e adesso vorremmo provare ad andare avanti facendo un follow up del progetto. Perché siamo partiti proprio dal concetto di cercare di risparmiare, di far risparmiare l'ente pubblico, quando è proprietario, perché spesso non fanno gli interventi proprio perché gli costa prendere la gente, spostarla e diventa molto oneroso. E devo dire che su alcune cose che abbiamo fatto in Emilia Romagna con gli erovignoni,
A me mi è venuto il nome della del Napoli, però è fatto lì. Sì, però può essere fatto.
Parliamo che sicuramente con Asher in Emilia Romagna. E abbiamo iniziato con dei palazzetti più piccolini, da 6-8 unità, e abbiamo visto che effettivamente si abbattono i tempi addirittura del 60% utilizzando lo site e l'abbiamo fatto, cioè proprio stato realizzato, e si azzerano i costi di spostamento, di riallocazione dell'utenza e effettivamente su edifici piccoli abbiamo già testato direttamente e funziona.
Ma solo per le operazioni di efficientamento,
Noi abbiamo fatto efficientamento energetico e sì, strutturale, per evitare che le tamponature durante il sisma possano collassare. Abbiamo lavorato con i colleghi che si occupano delle guardie sismiche, quindi abbiamo cercato un po' di dire...
Sono stati testati sul tavolo degli esami, che voi avete comunque un po'
Di aver fatto queste teste, in questo momento ne stiamo facendo altri perché laddove lo site è una struttura modulare, su edifici anche negli anni 60-70, laddove ci sono delle particolari geometrie, ci sono dei punti in cui lo site non si riesce. E quindi abbiamo coniugato lo site con un nuovo tipo di fibra in schiuma e stiamo facendo delle prove dal punto di vista strutturale per vedere cosa succede nel punto in cui ovviamente uniamo una struttura all'altra e cosa avviene anche dal punto di vista energetico perché sono fonti termici. Quindi stiamo proprio in questi giorni facendo delle altri test, quindi dicevo ci potrebbero essere
No, però territoriale noi possiamo veramente...
La realtà è regionalizzare finché non sul singolo edificio, non veramente il piccolo entitativo non scarichiamo i dati, sono puntuali, quindi più o meno sappiamo sul singolo edificio cosa potrebbe essere il servizio, cioè sappiamo se questo edificio può essere utile. È un Airbnb oppure è oppure un ristorante o qualcosa in modo tale che indirizzare e dire ok dove faccio l'efficientamento energetico a questo punto va appunto su un'attività commerciale piuttosto che su
comunque parametri diversi.
o con parametri diversi, quindi tra virgolette anche alla scala alla scala territoriale noi riusciamo anche a entrare poi sul singolo edificio a capire il business che c'è in quell'edificio, perché giustamente senza andare sul luogo.
Abbiamo di recente effettuato un'analisi su Berlino, no? Per misurare, però per descrivere il fenomeno della gentrificazione turistica attraverso appunto questi delle misurazioni numeriche in termini di comparazione dei livelli del numero di Airbnb, banalmente qual è il numero giusto di Airbnb per non creare troppa pressione nella comparazione generale di tutta la città. Anche quindi misurare per esempio in uno scenario di quanti qui ci possono stare solo 30 Airbnb, no? In un patrimonio obsoleto come quello della Basilicata chiaramente c'è bisogno di una riqualificazione, individuare le aree strategiche per esempio quante licenze possono essere realizzate all'interno di quelle aree, dimensionare il sistema potrebbe dare anche in termini quantitativi quanti Airbnb, quanti retrofit.
Ma adesso anche per turismo diffuso, visto che si stanno facendo delle cose interessanti, io sono per in Calabria, quindi il recupero di uso di questi edifici che ormai erano completamente devastati e per farli diventare alberghi diffusi. È molto interessante, c'è bisogno un po' di ovviamente poi ti mancano un po' di comodità che ha nel classico albergo, però dall'altro lato molta più libertà e quindi volendo facendo, cioè si recupera un territorio e si fanno un posto di lavoro.
No, ma poi si inserisce il processo che diceva lui di qualificazione dell'ambito territoriale, quindi per la creazione anche di piccole infrastrutture di collegamento, di attrazione per equilibrare anche il valore di attrattività.
Assolutamente, anche a Cosenza il discorso è stato fatto quello di creare anche dei percorsi e delle infrastrutture che riuscissero a collegare tutto il territorio, portando anche la gente in zone della città che normalmente appunto sono considerate come degradate. Quindi sì, c'è tanto da fare.
Ieri sono molto pieno di qualificare caso cadente.
È un po'.
Però anche come test, no, se c'è un caso studio che si sta facendo, noi rapidamente lo possiamo confezionare. E poi vediamo.
No, mi fa proprio pensare anche al discorso Allen, perché adesso si aprono le nuove cose. Sì, però ci saranno le nuove a settembre, e visto che stranamente comunque no, l'Emilia Romagna è ricompresa. Sì, sì. Sì, quindi poi c'è tutta la fascia che diventa in giù, per cui sì, dovrebbero essere appunto, noi siamo fortunati perché l'Emilia Romagna rientra sia nei progetti del Mediterraneo, quindi Med, Adrian, ma addirittura Central Europe. Quindi noi giochiamo su tutte le sponde, sì, è comodo. Ogni tanto ci giochiamo pure il fatto di avere la sede a Roma, quindi quella dell'Europa sono fatti anche i progetti che sono solo nord, e poi ne riusciamo, vabbè.
No, pure noi facciamo il nostro di tutto per essere
Io non ho ho visto i nomi, ci sono sulla, quindi poi se volete vedere sul sito, no, gli indirizzi.
Però fare un'applicazione con veloce, cioè nel senso che stiamo il comunello di misuriamolo, vediamo.
Perché noi abbiamo inserito tutto su Python.
Quindi è un
In realtà io scarico i dati e facciamo tutto in mezza giornata, abbiamo le mappe con almeno la prima come di
Almeno la prima,
poi è normale perché fa anche capire qual è lo scopo dell'analisi e quindi aggiungere quegli attributi che sono utili per quella tipo di analisi. Però la prima analisi è veramente molto grave.
Non è ritornati a casa. Ma possiamo fare una domanda logistica, visto che noi non siamo arrivati ieri, per cui oggi è il nostro primo giorno.